It is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. This is another off-season edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. I feel like it's been months since I've seen you. Maybe that's because so much has transpired and I've got like a belly full of baseball talk I want to get out.
I know when I told you I couldn't do Monday, we have to do Tuesday. I know you were really mad at me, but you're such a nice guy. We're friends. But I agree. I feel the same way because, so much has happened, and not just like, it's not just little crumbs. I mean, these are kind of like some big things happening. Then maybe some rumors out there. So let's get into it, Chris.
All right. Well, we're going to start off with this because we had the presidential inauguration on Monday. I saw this cool tweet from Jeremy Frank. He's the guy who started MLB Pickle, that account. So he went through every presidency and who hit the most homers in the span. It was great. We had Josh asking myself and my brother trivia about, hey, who led this administration, that administration. It was awesome. So I'm going to ask that who is going to hit the most homers in baseball the next 4 years during this wing of the Trump presidency.
First, I'm shocked that Barry Bonds is not on this list at all. How is that even possible?
Well, because
he was overlapping,
he overlapped the second of Clinton and then the first of Bush.
Oh man, that's crazy to see a home run list without Barry Bonds on it. Okay, who do I think will lead in this administration? So next 4 years.
The next 4 years.
I mean, it's got to be Aaron Judge. That's the easy slam dunk answer. I think. I don't know. Shohei could possibly put up those numbers. I think it's going to be a little. Him pitching now will change the way he approaches, his offensive game. So I think it's got to be Aaron Judge.
I am going to go with Yordan Alvarez, who hit, I think, 60 fewer than Judge during the Biden term.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to wake up in the homer chart as well, Chris.
Yeah, and, he averages right around mid-30s a year, it always feels like. If he can stay healthy and he's still in his late 20s, I think he's got a shot. The only reason I don't want to pick Aaron Judge is because I think everybody would pick Aaron Judge. Yeah. And I'm not going to go against him, even though he's about to turn 33 years old in the spring. But still, I just want to go somewhere else. So
I wanted to too, but it's too easy.
Right, exactly. It feels like it.
Hey, Bryce Harper, wake up. Let's go.
You know what? Why don't everybody should leave an answer and give us a one-liner why. So throw it down there in the comments section. This will be kind of a fun little exercise for us. Speaking of fun, Dodgers offseason continued. Tuesday morning, I wake up. We were joking. We were like, oh, the Dodgers will sign 5 more people by the time we do a show. Well, it's pretty close. They have added Kirby Yates. He had a phenomenal year last season. He's 37 years old. His ERA was a smidge over 1, more than 14 Ks per 9. So you add that right after they just signed Tanner Scott to a 4-year, $72 million deal. Right after Roki Sasaki said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to come to LA as well. It's fine that they're building this amazing team, but at some point, is it too much?
That's the $1 million question right now. All over social media, people are freaking out about the Dodgers and what they're doing. And are we going to even watch the season? What's the point? I would say this: watch the season, okay? Because baseball is one of those sports where, you can go out and sign, every player imaginable, but these short series, they're just different. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I think that they're obviously going to be the favorite to win the World Series, but you got to go out there and play the games. I don't really know what to say. Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates have been sitting as free agents for the last 3 months. So, if your team wanted to go get them, they could have already done that. I don't think they were waiting for the Dodgers to sign them. They were waiting for the deals that they wanted. And I think there are teams that have the ability to go sign these guys. So it's when you add up this offseason, it is crazy. It does seem like, don't clip just this part of me saying that. That is what happens all the time. It does seem not fair that the Dodgers have signed all these guys, but they're not. There's what rules are they breaking? What's stopping your team from going out? Maybe not having this type of offseason, but at least, like I said, signing a Tanner Scott, signing a Kirby. They could have been off the board already, and here we are, January 21st, and now they're finally coming off. I mean, pitchers and catchers are reporting in less than a month, so. I don't really know how to answer this. Everyone's saying, "Oh, the impending lockout's going to be crazy." I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. It doesn't have to be the case. It's not that black and white, I guess, is
Well,
where I'm saying.
let's deal in reality for a second here. There are some truths. Number one is that the Dodgers are better at dealing with deferred payments than any team. Now, there has to be an agreement on both sides. Tyler Glasnow, whom signed an extension after his trade, I believe does not have any deferrals in his deal. Blake Snell took a huge signing bonus and deferrals. Tanner Scott just took a huge signing bonus and deferrals. It doesn't mean we understand that everybody else has it. Anthony Santander, whom we're going to talk about with Toronto, took deferrals in his deal. So, yes, it happens. And by the way, it happens in other sports. In the NFL, though, there's a cap on how much you can defer. It's not a sizable cap on it. It's not like ridiculous. It's not like you can only defer 10% of your payments. It's much more than that you can defer, but there are limitations. The other part of this is that, yes, the Dodgers' local television revenue
Sure.
is significantly more than most teams. And so we have to recognize that. If you don't, then you're not telling the complete story. So the Dodgers are dealing with a head start that most, not all, but most teams do not have, particularly when we're kind of caught in this muck. Is MLB running the local TV deal? Is some other entity running it, and they're certainly not getting what they used to get in local TV. So we have to recognize that and put it on the table, Trevor.
Yeah, and that's not like some shady deal. It was a timing
Not
thing for
shady.
them. It was a timing thing. Their deal came up 16 months before people really started, cutting the cord essentially and going towards streaming. They got the last big cable TV.
Nobody's mad at them, but we have to at least put it out there and say that it might not be the same fight. Okay, so in my opinion,
but okay, I understand that, but you have to get proactive in situations like this. Like your front office, team president, whoever it is that's running this, had to have the foresight. There are chances for teams to start their own networks, going out there, bundling up the sports in different areas. I mean, look, I'm not saying I have the answer to how did teams get back to the money they were getting when cable was king. I don't know the answer to that. I'm dealing with right now when I'm doing my Twins broadcasting. We're trying to figure all that out. But there's been other cities that have combined teams, sports to create your own network, and that's a way to do this. Not all of them have worked, but some have. I understand the point that they are starting with a quote unquote head start because they got that deal, but you just can't fault them for that. It's not they didn't do anything wrong.
It's not
I think they are, though. I think they're acting like the Dodgers are breaking the rules and
I don't think so.
They're not.
I don't think people are saying that they're breaking the rules.
And I'm not a Dodger fan.
Here's, in my opinion, the biggest issue that baseball's got is that they've got a perception problem.
Yes.
Not a reality problem.
Yes.
Here's the perception. The perception is we shouldn't even bother with the 2025 season. Here's the reality. We've had 25 seasons since the turn of the century. In how many of those years did the team that had the best record win the World Series? You want to give me a guess?
Oh, sheesh. 6.
So the perception is it's probably half, something like that. The reality is you nailed it. The Dodgers last year became the 6th team that finished with the regular season's best record to also go on and win the World Series. The other thing I hear from people is that, well, if you don't spend in the top half of the payroll, probably top 10, most definitely top half, why even watch the season? Here's the reality. Same thing goes in the NBA. The same thing goes. Now, I didn't want to sit here and do it for the last 25 years. I got to be honest with you. So I just did the previous 8 years. Here's where the opening day payrolls ranked. Dodgers, and going backward of all the champions. 8th, 9th, 11th for the Astros, 13th for the Braves in 21, 2nd, 7th, 1st, 18th, and 14th. So everybody but the 2017 Astros were in the top half, and there were a couple that were in between 10 and 18. The NBA champions, over that same span. Last year with Boston, 6th in payroll. Denver the year before that, 9th, 1st, 13th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 1st. The point is that good players cost money. I don't care whether you're talking baseball or basketball. We're not going to do the whole football thing because they have a hard cap. They have a luxury tax in the NBA. There's a cap, but there's a luxury tax there too. So the point is that if you don't want to watch baseball because you think, well, my team has no shot, so I'm not going to do shit. I'm going to go on to the next thing. Then that's on you. And oh, by the way, all you people who are complaining that you're not going to be watching baseball, I'll see you March 27th on opening day because I know you're going to be there, just like I'll be there.
I think there's a few fan bases that can say that. I'll be honest. I don't think it is all like, sunshine and quote unquote roses. I think there are some teams that need to wake up and do a better job on their payroll. But like you said, parity is in the sport. This is probably the sport where one player matters the least. Now, I know the Dodgers signed a bunch of them, so it does kind of change things. But there was a social media clip kind of taken, I feel like, a little bit out of context. Jake and I were talking about the Dodgers, and I said, you got to find a way to keep up. And that was kind of the clip. But it's true. Like, it doesn't – just because maybe your owner or your team doesn't have the television deal, there's other things they can do to have a competitive advantage. I mean, look at the Guardians, dude. Their owner, I know he has money. They're not spending it the way that, a lot of people think he should, but they develop better and they make good trades. Like, there are other areas where your team can improve and still obviously compete in this league and have a really good shot at winning the whole thing. Like, it's not just about going out and getting free agents. It's like you have to do other things well. And again, you can compete in this league. So I don't think it's just like, yeah, if you think this 2025 season is over, it's not.
It definitely isn't. It definitely isn't. The question is, because in my opinion, the consumer is always right. Has the fun been taken out of it for you this year? That's what I feel bad for fans that think that way. I really do, because you have to remember, look, my Guardians have been in it a lot over the last decade. One of the best records in the American League. When I was growing up, they were horrible. The first 23 years of my life, the Indians did not finish higher than 3rd in their division. They never had 3rd, 2nd, or 1st place ever. Now, it wasn't because of payroll. It was because they sucked. The team was horrible. The organization, we didn't really talk about payroll nearly as the way that we do today. We just didn't. But I loved the game. And so I wanted to believe. And there was one year where there was a Sports Illustrated cover back when Sports Illustrated being on the cover meant something. It was the baseball preview issue of 1987. Joe Carter and Corey Snyder are on the cover, and it says Indians Uprising. They predicted them to win the World Series. And you know what happened that year? We lost over 100 games.
Oh.
But man, was I dialed in. I could not wait. I was so excited. And I get it for Marlins fans that are out there. You look at that lineup, and it's literally like the movie Major League. Like, who are these fucking guys? Like, what, that line from the movie? That's what it is. So I understand it. But I think you're shortchanging yourself if you're saying, well, look at what the Dodgers have done, and that's it. Not going to do it. Not going to watch.
It's still the off season, so it's very, focused on who's signing where. Once spring training comes around, I think the whole attitude will switch to, well, let's go beat that team.
Hell yes.
Right? Like, I don't think it's gonna be, oh man, the Dodgers are too good, we can't do anything. I think it's like, F the Dodgers. Let's go get those guys.
Not only that, Trevor, I think that's why I came out and I said it was good for baseball last week when Roki.
Oh, you did that? You said that?
I said it, and I did. I got killed. But here's why I said it was good. You need an enemy. You need a heel. You need to hate somebody. When I was in the mid-90s and early 2000s, it was the Yankees. Who's your favorite team? My hometown team and anybody that's playing the Yankees. That's part of what makes it fun. The Dodgers are going to revel in this, being loved in Los Angeles and by Dodger fans who live across the country and hated by everybody else. That is awesome that we've got that again. It happened in 2009 when the Yankees spent $500 million on 3 dudes, on CC, Teixeira, and AJ Burnett. They put together an amazing team when nobody else, go look it up that offseason, nobody else spent any money. Anybody. Yankees ended up winning it, but it sure was fun rooting against them at the time.
I know we're like going long on this, but I think it's pertinent. The Padres fans have been the most vocal about this, at least in my mentions on X. You know, it's where I'm seeing a lot of like the fan interaction. Twitter. It's X, whatever. Padres fans have been the most vocal about this, but like just in October, not too many months ago, you had the Dodgers on the ropes. And what about when you signed Tatis to the massive deal? You traded for Soto, you traded for Cease, signed Bogarts. Who else am I forgetting? It was all fun and games then. When San Diego was seemingly getting every single start, we were like, how are they doing this? You signed Yu Darvish and gave him this massive extension. It was all fun and games then. But because another team's doing it that just won the World Series, now it's changed everybody's focus. So, like, just remember where you were in October. You had him on the ropes, Tatis off of Buehler. It was going to be over, and then it wasn't. Like, we got to play the games, people.
All right, so let's move on to the Sasaki part of this equation, because we haven't done a show since he agreed to become a Dodger. The Athletic did a huge article on the anatomy of chasing this guy down. It was fascinating. If you have the ability to read it, go read it. He gave each of these teams a homework assignment. It was figure out why my velo dropped so significantly last year. And if you think about it, there were a lot of teams that were like, hold on, we're going to give you our trade secrets on how to improve you, even if you're not going to come to our team. Like, that sounds a little freaky. But there was one quote that kind of set me aback a little bit. One team executive, who went nameless in this article, said, give people truth serum. That's all I've heard anybody talk about, that the Dodgers had signed him a long time ago, well before he was ever posted. Do you feel like this was a done deal and a waste of time?
Does that quote mean actually like had like a handshake agreement, or is he saying they were the favorites a long time ago?
Sure,
because
it didn't sound like the favorites to me. It sounded like much more than that.
I don't believe that whatsoever. I don't believe the Dodgers had some deal with him. Why would he waste his freaking time going and putting on a Padres workout outfit, going and throwing for them? Like, what? Is he a double agent? Is he going there trying to get all the other team's secrets and bringing them back to the Dodgers? Hey, I'll get on board with that theory, I guess, but come on, man.
Well,
why would you waste your time?
Because possibly he and his representatives got together and said, we have to play this as straight as possible. We have to make it.
That's a lot for a 23-year-old kid to do, who's changing, his lifestyle completely. I don't buy that for 1 second. In fact, and whatever was it an NL, AL executive, whatever it is, put your name on it.
Well, a lot of
I can't get behind it, Chris. I don't believe that. I really, really don't.
I believe that here's what I believe. A lot of people, wouldn't you feel reading a lot of the comments? And that's the only way we can gauge kind of how the public feels, is when we're on social media and seeing where people's heads are at. Don't you feel a lot of people felt like it was a little dirty and underhanded, the way the process went down?
I don't.
You don't think at the end of the day people
why he was, I thought what he was doing was, it was unique. I mean, crossing teams off one by one, but that's what you're supposed to do before you sign with somewhere. You're supposed to let the other teams know, hey man, thank you for everything, but I'm going to go a different way. Like, what was so shady about it?
I think probably most people felt like this was a done deal, that the pipeline from Japan to Chavez Ravine is so strong that there was no other finish line other than he was going to be wearing Dodger blue. Now, if that's the case, it's one thing for fans to bitch and moan. If other owners feel that way, they need to get together and they need to talk to Rob Manfred about this. Because as much as the commissioner is the steward of the game, let's be honest, he's working for 30 dudes. And if 27 of them are pissed with the way this went down, then get on a goddamn call and say, hey, investigate it, At least they get on the record. Now, whether or not Major League Baseball would do that to the crown jewel of their sport is another topic entirely. But you at least have to take a stand if you feel like something shady went down. I'm not saying it is, but if you honestly believe that and you're an owner who's sitting here going, how did this happen? Like they might have had a handshake agreement a year ago, well before he was ever posted, in which case that's a no-no.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it whatsoever. So I don't
Not
know.
even a little?
Like in his head, were the Dodgers maybe where he ultimately wanted to land, but he wanted to go see what else was out there? I think that's a realistic, scenario. Do I think the Dodgers, you think Andrew Friedman and his agent were like, yeah, man, like we got you, but we're going to do this charade. He's going to go all around, fly around, give these teams this homework assignment, put on the workout outfit, go take pictures. Like, no, man. Again, this guy's 23 years old. Are we putting this like he's that conniving?
No,
There's
but
no way. This is such a integral, crazy, transitional part of his life to think that he was just acting for the last 4 months. That's crazy.
no, but I do wonder why he and Shohei have come over before they could strike it rich, like Yamamoto did.
Me too.
And so I wonder if there's not more to the story in terms of the marketing side of things. I mean, there's never been a huge expose in terms of what Shohei was making off the field before he became Shohei here, right?
Look,
And he kind of created this enormous pipeline now. He took it to a different level.
I will give fans this. They've all been talking about, international signings. They're different. It's back when I was on the executive committee for the Players Association, we were going through a CBA, and that was one of the things that the owners were pushing was an international draft. And they knew they understand that's too wide ranging and difficult to get done within the time frame that we had. But it was a divisive topic. I think a lot of American players were like, yeah, I mean, shoot, we have to go to the draft. We don't get to pick where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like that makes sense. And then every single, Latin guy was like, no, like, why would we ever do that? It was a very divisive topic within the sport. So I think a lot of fans have said, hey, we need something like that. I don't know what the answer is really to that, but I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say I want a total world draft because that would completely change the landscape of anything, but it's that whole international signing. And I'm not saying Japan because I don't really know about that side. I think it's more like above water there. Like in the Latin countries and Venezuela and Cuba and the Dominican, there is definitely some stuff going on down there, and it's been talked about widely throughout baseball and articles written about it. It's just I think there'll be some restraints, something on it come next collective bargaining agreement.
Okay. I don't want to branch off into this huge discussion, and you mentioned a little bit earlier. Some people are saying, boy, I can't wait for the work stoppage in a couple of years. It's going to be enormous, and it's going to have a titanic shift on the sport. How worried are you as a guy who played, who was part of, were you a player rep or an assist?
I was a assistant rep.
Okay.
But then I was on the executive committee for the CBA.
Okay. So as a guy who's been in the muck, how worried are you?
I think you're always worried because the two sides have very firm stances, especially the PA has very firm stances that have been just drilled into you since you're a young pup. There's a line in the sand you will not cross. So for that reason, I feel like I'm always scared when you have to have a new collective bargaining agreement. It just kind of depends on the state of the game.
Well, based on what we know right now and what we've seen transpire in the last offseason.
I think a lot of things that people want can be done without a work stoppage. I think there might be a limit on deferrals etched into the books. I don't think players would really care about that. It's not something that really benefits a player necessarily. Like, if you're right, I'm not a big financial guy. I mean, I understand some of it. You want your money now. It's worth more now than it is 10 years down the road. So I don't think that's that's more on the team side that helps them out. So I think if that was something that some owners wanted and it got thrown in there. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a limit on deferrals. I don't. It's not.
So the percentage.
It's not going to happen because it's still the game is too fruitful.
I understand
they're going to say it's not. We're probably going to talk about one coming up here. The game is still too fruitful for all these organizations for a work stoppage.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's go with that. Today's episode of Baseball Today, it is sponsored by BetterHelp. Every January brings you 365 blank pages just waiting to be filled. And in 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist, or maybe there's a part of your story you've been wanting to revise. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen, becoming the author of your own life. Think of therapy as your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the meaningful story you deserve to live. BetterHelp, it's fully online. It's making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties, and you can easily switch therapists anytime at no cost. So once again, write your story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/baseball today. You're going to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball today. All right, the Toronto Blue Jays got a little help. They signed free agent Anthony Santander, 5 years, $92.5 million. It's a sixth year as well that could take it up to around $110 million. They've had a busy offseason, no question about it. They've made a couple of trades, one picking up Andres Jimenez. They just signed a reliever in Jeff Hoffman, who was pretty good. They brought back Yimi Garcia. They bring in Santander as well now. And then this big news that popped in the world on Monday night. According to former major leaguer Carlos Baerga, whom we seem to mention him a couple times every offseason, very plugged in, particularly what's going on in the Latin community. He's saying that it wouldn't be a surprise that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will sign an extension with the Blue Jays before spring training begins, worth between $450 and $500 million. If that happens, and then you throw in the Santander signing and the other signings and the other trades, are you willing to say that the Blue Jays are back?
I mean, yeah, that's great for them. It's great for Toronto. It's great for all of Canada. It's great for Vladdy for sure. My goodness. I think there's still work to be done. No doubt about it. But keeping Vlad there, I think, gives you a chance to sell your team on, free agents. And then it gives you your front office a reason to continue to go out there and try to improve the team. It gives the fans someone to really rally around. So like keeping your cornerstone players is a good idea. I think that's my main take here is you got to do that. You always say you want a guy that you can buy a jersey and have it and wear it and know he's going to be there. I think it just him just signing there and staying there isn't like, going to make them a World Series, favorite, but it is necessary for them to continue trying to be that, trying to go and improve the team. So I would love, Chris, to see that happen. They have made some really notable acquisitions, I think, that are really going to help this team. Again, we've always talked about the AL is wide open this year. Is it going to be enough for them? We'll see. Got to play the games. The more and more I think about it, like Jimenez, pairing up with Bo Bichette, I think is going to be like the best thing for Bo Bichette's career. Going and working with that guy. I mean, they're going to have to go and spend time together in spring training to get right. And to, the shortstop, second baseman have to, develop a rapport together. Through that work, I guarantee you, clip this, I guarantee you Bo Bichette's going to have his best defensive year of his career this year, just solely from working with Andres Jimenez. So, I don't know if I gave an answer to your question. What was the question? It's great.
The question is, would the Blue Jays be back if Vladdy?
They're back. Yeah, they're back. They're back to where they were a couple years ago, where I think there was a lot of excitement around the team. If this doesn't happen, and again, it's just a lame duck year, then the excitement wears off. If he signs an extension, I think it comes back, and yeah, they're back to where they were.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I said on this show that the Blue Jays should sell.
Oh,
Get out of the
baby.
Vlad business, build up Bichette's market again, and get rid of him. Chris Bassett's in his last year. You can get him to a team that's a contender and just blow it up. That's exactly what I said. And since then, they have done the exact opposite. They have added via free agency. They added Miles Straw's deal in order to try and get more international pool money so they could make one last push at Roki, and that didn't end up working out. And now they bring in Santander, and it looks like maybe if we follow the breadcrumbs on Carlos Baerga's tweet that they're going to extend Vladdy. Extending Vladdy does not make them a better team this year. What it does is it kills the narrative. Do we have to trade him in July? It probably puts good vibes in Toronto, all of that sort of stuff. So it helps them emotionally. I don't think he can have a better year necessarily, much better year than he had last year. You know, what was it? A couple seasons ago, he finished second in the MVP. So I imagine he could be better. But man, he was maybe the best hitter in baseball the second half of the season. He was just nuts, right? He was insane. Doesn't make what? No, I'm not going to say they're back. Y'all sucked last year. You were last place in the AL East. You won 74 games. You finished 12 games out of the wild card. There were like a half dozen teams between you and the third wild card team. That's not going to make you back. This makes you better. There's moves you have made that will make you better. I don't know what it is about this team. Bad mix, not a bad group of guys. I want to get that out there. Not bad guys. Bad mix. And I'm going to stick to it. It's just a...
I mean, look, again, I said they're back to where they were. You can still have excitement around your team. You can look to improve it. I bought all the Bo Bichette stock.
There you go.
2025, people.
Go get them, Blue Jays. I mean, here's part of it. This is a personal issue. I have a lot of Toronto scar tissue built up in me based on my choices. 2 straight years where I thought they were going to make the World Series. Last year, at least 2 years ago, they made the playoffs. They couldn't score a damn run against your Twins, but at least they made the playoffs. Last year, I don't want to say it. They didn't do well.
Last in the division?
Yeah. But I don't want to say what I really want to say. They weren't good.
Okay.
So you have to understand where I'm coming from. I don't like getting burnt twice. Let's move on.
Okay.
Tom Ricketts talking to Cubs fans, asking ownership to spend more money in the offseason. Quote, they think somehow we have all these dollars that the Dodgers have or that the Mets have or that the Yankees have, and we just keep it, which isn't true at all. What happens is we try to break even every year, and that's about it. Your thoughts on that quote?
Open the books up. I'd love to see it. I really would. And you know what? Maybe he's telling the truth. Strictly baseball. Maybe they're trying to break even there with payroll, whatever's going on. Maybe that is the case. But obviously, we always have to talk about the team's value. He bought the team for $895 million. It's probably worth $2 billion now. So you have to take that into consideration. Plus, what I always tell people is it's not just baseball revenue for these people. It's the auxiliary income that comes from the baseball team, like, you know, the hotel that he built around the stadium and, you know, the investment into Wrigleyville. Like that also brings in money, which probably he's not considering baseball money. So like there's a lot of factors that come into play here. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say except like break even where. And if that's the truth, show me the books. I just don't really buy it. And they can say whatever they want, and you kind of have to take it as the truth. But the truth is, we've never seen the books.
Yeah.
Never seen them.
So in 2023, only the Yankees and Dodgers had more revenue than the Cubs. Now, for people that aren't huge in the world of economics or understand money, there's an enormous difference between revenue and profit, right?
Sure.
profit factors in all of your expenditures, which includes payroll, among other things. And so what he's saying is we're just trying to break even in that category. So what he's saying is that in 2023, that they spent $500 million as well. I mean, that's the way I'm reading it. Maybe some economist out there can point me in the right direction with that, but that's the way it's said. That's if we're listening to Tom Ricketts and we're taking him at face value, that's the way it is. Once again, owners have never opened the books. And do they need to? They don't need to. It's their business.
Sure.
But
Agreed.
when you're dealing with sports teams, and it's so different than every other business that we utilize every day in our lives, right? You could go to Target, you go to a local grocery store. You don't care about what the books look like because you don't root for those companies. They aren't part of your being. They aren't part of your family history, right? You don't pass tickets down from generation to generation so that you can go shop at Target. That's not how it works. So these people who have put their entire being into being a Cubs fan deserve a little bit more. They just do. So if you're going to make statements like this, you just got to be really careful, because if you're at FanFest, I would say, then why don't you show us the books, Mr. Ricketts? Why don't you show us what your revenue was and what your profits were, so that we can then understand and sympathize with you and not yell at you about not going out and spending enough money to go get players.
You also don't use taxpayer dollars to build a Target. So I think that's where I go back to every single time we talk about this. It is different. It's not a regular business. There's more. When you buy a sports franchise, you have to understand that, like you said, it's a fabric of the city. It's a fabric of people's lives. It's different. And they help you pay for your stadium most of the time, if not all of the time. So, it's completely different. They will never open the books. And I'll end it with this. Guys are not overpaid. Guys are paid what teams think they should be paid.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. They wouldn't pay them. They wouldn't pay them if they weren't worth it. That's nobody's out there paying something like, this guy's not worth this, I'm just going to go do it anyway. That is not how businesses operate. That's not how these guys got to where they are. So I get it. The money, and for some players, the top 0.01% is crazy, but it's crazy for a reason.
Oh, how badly do you want to see the books?
I mean, it'd be amazing. I don't sympathize with that whatsoever, because my salary was in the USA Today,
right?
Full page spread every single freaking year. You can look it up, how much I made in my life. Just Google it. I mean, it's crazy. I've never had sympathy for people. Oh, that's my business. That's not your. I'm like, well, okay.
Well, we can see how much teams make. I just told you, the revenues are out there. We don't
not full.
Probably not full is accurate. We just don't see your expenditures. We didn't see what you were paying back in the. See, now that'd be the fun thing. That's the next step with athletes. Forget about how much money you're making. I want to see how much you're spending every year.
Oh, you want to see my budget?
Yeah, that's what I want to see. Wouldn't that be great? Gosh, I would love to see that.
One day I'll do a presentation. Here's what the Plouffe household spends. Too much. Come on, we need to clean it up.
You have a balanced budget at least?
And we have a budget, yeah, for sure. Do we go over it sometimes? Yeah. Do we have a surplus sometimes? Yeah. Sheesh.
Hang in there, bro. All right, we got a little bit more still to go. But first, this word from my good friend Trevor Plouffe.
Yes, football fans, it is playoff time. And we got some exciting games to look forward to. And you can get in on all of the playoff action right now with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, they're offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. That's when you use the code baseball today. Do you love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. You can bet live on in-progress games as they happen, which makes watching the game that much more exciting. So all you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code baseball today. All one word, baseball today. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code baseball today only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
And finally, before we get out of here, this will be a quick one for us. It's happening today, Hall of Fame announcement. A couple of first-year guys on the ballot are the headliners, Ichiro and CeCe. You think both of them get in?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Want to talk to you after the show a little bit. Saw Kenny Lofton at the golf course a couple days ago, and he wants to do some stuff with us because he's up at the end of the year with the Veterans Committee.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So he's hoping to get in. And so, I was thinking, okay, yeah, sure, we can help you out. Kalo has been great. Always very nice to me. I know you love him.
Mm-hmm.
He showed me some stats.
Oh,
him versus Ichiro.
You don't have to.
Him versus Ichiro is really, it's crazy because Ichiro is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and Kenny Lofton went through the whole process. Now it's go to the Veterans Committee. The stats are on Kenny Lofton's side.
I will say this: Kenny Lofton fell off the ballot after the first year because he didn't get 5%, which was insane. Kenny Lofton.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Not only that, I'm almost positive it's true that he fell off after the first year. If not, it was very quickly. I will say this. I loved watching Ichiro. I was all in on him. I think he gets a lot more credit than I gotta be careful.
Be careful, bro.
I know. He won not only Rookie of the Year, he won MVP his first year here. He never finished top 6 after that. Do you know what his career OPS was?
780 something. Kenny's is higher.
No, I think it's under 760, isn't it?
I don't know. 757, maybe.
I think that's what it is.
Kenny's is
757. I'm just saying that if Ichiro had started now as opposed to 2001, we might look at him a little differently. And I don't know if that's fair because I always have this trouble too. It's called the Hall of Fame, which is short for famous. And he is as famous as we got. And I know people say, well, look at how much he accomplished over in Japan. I get all that. I don't have a problem with Ichiro being in the Hall of Fame.
Me neither.
I just think that it's really interesting how we do look at some players that were very similar and we didn't even think about
look at Kenny Lofton's numbers. Okay.
I get it.
His OPS plus and Ichiro's the exact same 107. Kenny has him less games, more homers, more steals, more career WAR. A lot of things.
He was a great.
We got to get Kalo in.
I will.
You want him on the Rose rotation? Or
absolutely, I do.
Okay, great. We're gonna make it happen.
The other part of it, probably the next biggest narrative of this story, is Billy Wagner's in his 10th and final season on the writers' ballot. Last year, he got 73.8% of the vote. You need 75 to get in. 75%. What's your gut tell you on him?
He's in. I feel like we've seen like the momentum shifting that way. I think he gets in.
I think not only does he get in, I think he should have been in a little while ago.
Yeah.
Did you know there are only 8 closers in the sports history that are in? It's Eck, Raleigh Fingers, Goose, Trevor Hoffman, Mariano Rivera, Lee Smith, Bruce Sutter, and Hoyt Wilhelm. That is it. And Billy Wagner's ERA plus 187. Trevor Hoffman's 141. Lee Smith 132. Fingers was in the 120s. I know that those guys, Fingers, Sutter in particular, and Gossage, they used to be multiple inning guys. So the game is way different, way different. But Billy Wagner, even in his last year, almost 40 saves and an ERA under 2. He didn't limp to the finish line. He was damn good.
Nasty.
Yeah.
I think he gets in, yeah.
I think so too. I like big classes in baseball. I think it's fun. Really do. All right. Boy, I feel good now after having
a big show.
Yeah. A lot to get into. A lot of stuff there. Make sure you leave, some comments in our comments section. We left you a nice big juicy question about whether or not the Dodgers have kind of ruined the upcoming season for you. I'm just curious about your response. That's all. Not going to say you're wrong. Well, maybe I will. We will see you later this week. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Friday here on Baseball Today, if not sooner.